Stars Cosmos. Part 1. The Awakening. The starship. Teguk moved through the dark space between galaxies like a silver needle threading through black cloth. Commander Lee Hyun stood on the bridge, watching the endless void through the main screen. 3 years they had traveled from Earth, pushing deeper into space than any human had gone before. "Sir, we're getting strange readings ahead," said Park Minji from her position at the tactical station. Her fingers danced over the glowing controls as data flowed across her screen. "There's something big out there." Hyun walked over to look at her readings. The numbers made no sense. Something massive was hiding in the darkness, but it wasn't giving off any heat or light signals that their sensors usually picked up. "Kim Do-yun, can you boost the long-range scanners?" Hyun called to the engineering station. "Already on it, Commander," Do-yun replied, his hands working quickly over his controls. "Whatever's out there, it's huge. Maybe 10 times the size of our ship, but it's completely cold. No power signatures at all." Dr. Choi Soman looked up from her science station, excitement clear in her voice. "Commander, if this is what I think it is, we might have found something incredible. An alien structure this far from any star system could only mean one thing." "What's that, Doctor?" Hyun asked, though he already suspected the answer. "We found proof that we're not alone in the universe." The Teguk moved closer to the mysterious object. As they got nearer, their lights began to show the outline of something that took Hyun's breath away. It was a massive ring structure, easily 5 kilometers across, made of some dark metal that seemed to drink in their ship's lights. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with a blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Incredible," whispered Soman as she studied her readings. "The metal composition is unlike anything we've seen. And those symbols, they're definitely artificial. This was built by intelligent beings." "But where are they now?" asked Minji, scanning the area for any signs of life. "This thing looks ancient, but there are no ships, no debris, nothing." Hyun made his decision. "We're going aboard. Do-hyun, prepare the shuttle. Soman, bring your equipment. We're going to make history today." An hour later, the small shuttle approached the alien structure. Up close, it was even more impressive. The ring was covered in intricate patterns and designs that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Large sections of the surface were transparent, showing complex machinery inside. "There," pointed Soman. "That looks like a docking port." The shuttle connected to the structure with a soft thud. The airlock systems somehow worked perfectly with their ship's technology, as if they were meant to fit together. "That's odd," muttered Do-hyun as he checked the readings. "This thing is automatically adjusting to match our systems. How is that possible?" They put on their spacesuits and stepped through the airlock into the alien structure. Emergency lighting flickered on as they entered, revealing a corridor that seemed designed for beings roughly the same size as humans. The walls were covered in the same glowing symbols they had seen outside. "Look at this," breathed Soman, running her scanner over the walls. "The symbols are reacting to our presence. They're getting brighter as we pass them." They moved deeper into the structure, their footsteps echoing in the empty halls. Every room they entered came to life with soft lighting, as if the structure was waking up after a long sleep. In the center of the ring, they found what could only be a control room. A large chair sat in the middle, surrounded by floating displays that showed star maps and data streams. As Hyun approached the chair, the displays suddenly flared to life. "Commander, be careful," warned Minji, her hand moving to her weapon. But Hyun felt drawn to the chair. Something about it seemed familiar, as if he belonged there. He sat down, and instantly the room exploded with light and sound. Images flashed through his mind. He saw a great civilization that had once ruled thousands of star systems. Beings that looked almost human, but taller and more graceful. They had built wonders beyond imagination, cities that floated in space, machines that could create new worlds, technology that seemed like magic. But then came the darkness, massive ships that looked like mechanical spiders, destroying everything in their path. The great civilization fighting desperately but losing world after world to these metal monsters. "The architects," whispered a voice in his head. "We built this place for you, for the ones who would come after us." Hyun gasped and opened his eyes. His friends were standing around him, worried expressions on their faces. "Sir, you were out for almost 10 minutes, said Do-hyun. "What happened?" "I saw them," Hyun said slowly. "The beings who built this place. They called themselves the architects. They knew they were going to lose their war, so they built this, waiting for someone like us to find it." "Someone like us?" asked So-min. "What do you mean?" Before Hyun could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the structure. The displays showed new images, massive ships approaching fast through space. "Sir," Minji's voice crackled through their comm system from the shuttle. "I'm reading multiple contacts approaching our position, big ones, and they don't look friendly." Hyun stood up from the chair, and immediately more information flooded his mind. The approaching ships belonged to the same mechanical race that had destroyed the architects. They were called the Devourers, and they consumed entire worlds to fuel their endless expansion. "We have to go now," Hyun ordered. "This place. It sent out a signal when I activated it. We've told the enemy where to find us." They ran back through the corridors as the structure began to shake around them. Through the transparent sections, they could see the approaching ships, dark, angular things that looked more like weapons than vehicles. "The shuttle's ready," called Minji as they reached the docking port. "But sir, those ships are fast. I don't think we can outrun them." As they undocked from the structure, Hyun felt something change in his mind. New knowledge flowed through him. Star charts showing the location of Earth, technical specifications for weapons and defenses, and most importantly, the terrible truth about what was coming. The Devourers hadn't just destroyed the architects. They were still out there, hunting for any race that might rebuild the great civilization. And now they knew about humanity. The Taeguk jumped to faster-than-light speed just as the first Devourer ships reached the ancient structure. Behind them, the ring began to glow brighter and brighter until it exploded in a flash of light that could be seen across star systems. But it was too late. The signal had been sent. Earth's location was now known to humanity's greatest enemy, and they were already coming. As the Taeguk raced toward home, Hyun stared out at the stars and wondered if they had just doomed their entire species. Or if somehow they might be the key to stopping an enemy that had destroyed civilizations for thousands of years. The architects had chosen humanity as their inheritors. Now it was time to find out if they were worthy of that trust. Stars Cosmos, Part 2. The Inheritors. The emergency meeting room at Earth Defense Command buzzed with tension. Admiral Yoon Ji-hoon stood at the head of the table, his weathered face grim as he studied the reports flooding in from across the solar system. 3 weeks had passed since the Taeguk returned with their warning, and now the enemy was at their doorstep. "Show me the latest readings," Ji-hoon ordered. Lieutenant Commander Park Minji activated the holographic display. Red dots appeared throughout the outer solar system, each one representing a Devourer scout ship. They moved in perfect formation, methodically scanning every asteroid and moon. They're not attacking yet, Minji reported. They seem to be mapping our defenses, learning our patrol routes. It's like they're studying us. Dr. Nam Yunji pushed her glasses up her nose and leaned forward. Admiral, I've been working with Dr. Choi So-min on the data Commander Lee brought back from the architect structure. We think we understand why the Devourers are being so careful. Explain, Ji-hoon said simply. Yunji activated another display showing complex genetic patterns. The architects didn't just build that structure as a warning. They built it as a test. When Commander Lee sat in that chair, it scanned his entire genetic makeup and neural patterns. The structure confirmed what the architects suspected long ago, which is, humans carry a specific genetic marker that makes us compatible with architect technology. We're not just random inheritors. We were specifically chosen. The Devourers know this, which is why they're being so methodical. They're trying to figure out how dangerous we might become. Before Ji-hoon could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the command center. A young officer ran into the room, his face pale with fear. Admiral, we're receiving distress calls from Mars Colony and the Jupiter mining stations. The Devourers have started attacking our outer settlements. Commander Lee Hyun stepped forward. Sir, request permission to take the Taeguk and evacuate Mars Colony. Captain Han Minho has 15,000 people there. Denied, Ji-hoon said firmly. It's too dangerous. We can't risk losing our only ship with architect-compatible systems. With respect, Admiral, Hyun replied. Those systems won't matter if we let the Devourers pick off our colonies one by one. We need to save who we can. Meanwhile, in her laboratory deep beneath Earth Defense Command, Dr. Yunji worked frantically with the architect data core they had recovered. The crystalline device hummed with energy, its surface covered in the same glowing symbols they had seen on the structure. Dr. So-min burst through the door, her tablet showing urgent readings. Yunji, I found something incredible in the genetic data. The architects didn't just choose humans randomly. They embedded fail-safes in their technology thousands of years ago, designed to activate only for a species with our exact neural patterns. What kind of fail-safes? Yunji asked, her fingers dancing over her controls as she tried to interface with the data core. Weapons, Yunji, ship designs, defensive systems, things that could level the playing field against the Devourers. But there's a catch. The data core suddenly flared to life, projecting holographic blueprints around the room. Ship designs, unlike anything human engineers had ever imagined, filled the air, along with technical specifications for energy weapons and defensive shields. The technology requires a human pilot to undergo biological integration, So-min continued. The architects designed their most advanced systems to merge with living neural tissue. A human would have to become part machine to use them. Across the room, a new voice spoke up. I'll do it. Both scientists turned to see pilot Kang Soo-jin standing in the doorway. She was young, barely 25, but already one of Earth's best pilots. Her dark eyes were determined as she stepped into the room. Soo-jin, you don't understand, Yunja said gently. The integration process would change you permanently. We don't even know if it's reversible. I understand perfectly, Soo-jin replied. My brother was on the Jupiter mining station. The Devourers destroyed it 3 hours ago. If this technology can help us fight back, then I volunteer. Meanwhile, in space, the Taeguk raced toward Mars, despite Admiral Ji-hoon's orders. Commander Hyun had made his choice. He couldn't stand by while innocent people died. His crew supported him completely. Sir, we're receiving communications from Captain Minho. reported Kim Do-hyun from his engineering station. Mars colony is under heavy attack. Their defensive systems are failing. Through the main screen, they could see the red planet growing larger. But so could they see the dark shapes of devourer ships surrounding it like mechanical vultures. The enemy vessels were unlike anything in human design, all sharp angles and weapon ports built for destruction rather than exploration. Minji, prepare all weapons, Hyun ordered. We're going in fast and hard. One pass to knock out their formation, then we dock with the colony and get everyone out. The Taeguk dropped out of faster-than-light speed directly into the battle. Hyun felt something strange as they approached. The ship's systems seemed to be responding to his thoughts, reacting faster than normal controls would allow. "Commander," called Do-hyun in amazement. "Our systems are operating at 200% efficiency. It's like the ship knows what you want before you order it." The battle was fierce, but brief. The Taeguk moved through the devourer formation. Like a dancer, its weapons finding their targets with impossible accuracy. When the last enemy ship exploded, they had saved Mars colony, but Hyun knew this was just the beginning. Back on Earth, the integration procedure began. Sujin lay on a medical table as streams of architect biotechnology merged with her nervous system. The process was painful, but she gritted her teeth and endured it. "Neural integration at 60%, reported Dr. Yunji, monitoring Sujin's vital signs. "Her brain patterns are adapting to the architect systems faster than we calculated." "How do you feel, Sujin?" asked Dr. Somin. Sujin opened her eyes, and both doctors gasped. Her pupils were now flecked with the same blue glow they had seen in the architect symbols. When she spoke, her voice carried a slight harmonic echo. "I can feel it," she whispered. "The ship waiting in orbit. I can sense its systems, its weapons, its thoughts. It's alive, and it's been waiting for someone like me." Hours later, Sujin stood on the bridge of an architect dreadnought that had been hidden in Earth's moon. The massive ship responded to her mental commands, its weapons charging with energy that could destroy entire fleets. "This is Pilot Kang. Sujin to Earth Defense Command," she reported. "The dreadnought is fully operational. I can feel its power, its knowledge. We have a chance now." But even as hope began to spread through Earth's defenders, Sujin could feel the changes spreading through her body. The architect biotechnology was rewriting her cellular structure, turning her into something new, something that was both human and alien. The question was, would she still be herself when the transformation was complete? And would one ship be enough to stop an enemy that had destroyed entire civilizations? As the first major battle with the Devourers approached, humanity was about to find out if they were truly worthy of being the architect's inheritors. Stars Cosmos. Part 3. The Resistance. The meeting hall on the hidden space station orbited a dead star, far from any inhabited system. Ambassador Song Jae-won stood at the center of the circular room, surrounded by beings unlike anything humans had ever imagined. This was his first contact with the Helix Alliance, and the weight of humanity's future rested on making a good impression. To his left sat the Resonants, crystalline beings that communicated through harmonic vibrations. Their leader, who called, itself Crystal Singer of Truth, glowed with soft purple light as it spoke in musical tones that the translation device converted to words. "Your species fights well against the Devourers," Crystal Singer said, its voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "But you are young and reckless. The machine plague has consumed galaxies while your kind was still learning to make fire." Jae-won's right. The collective representative appeared to be a living mass of silver liquid that constantly shifted and changed shape. When it spoke, hundreds of small voices combined into one unified sound. "We have watched your recent battles," the collective said. "You show promise, but can you be trusted? The architect technology you wield could destroy as easily as it protects." The third member of the alliance was perhaps the strangest. The flux being looked different every time Jaewon glanced at it, sometimes appearing almost human, other times taking forms that hurt to look at directly. "Trust is earned through blood," the Flux warrior said, its voice shifting between male and female tones. "The Devourers respect only strength. Show us yours." Jaewon took a deep breath. "My people have been fighting for only a few months. We've lost colonies, ships, thousands of lives, but we haven't given up. The architect technology chose us for a reason, and we intend to prove worthy of that choice." Crystal Singer's light pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Words are easy, young ambassador. Actions speak truth. Your General Bae Wanshik has requested a joint mission against a devourer manufacturing world. We will judge your worth by how you fight." Back in the Sol system, General Bae Wanshik studied the tactical displays in his command ship. The joint fleet looked impressive on paper, 30 human ships working alongside twice as many alien vessels. But he worried about how they would function together in actual combat. "Sir," reported his aide, Lieutenant Cho Min-seo, "the resonant ships are refusing to share their sensor data. They say our technology is too primitive to understand it." "And the collective?" Wanshik asked. "They want to assimilate our tactical computers into their network. They claim it will improve coordination, but our tech specialists are concerned about losing control of our own systems." Wanshik rubbed his temples. Fighting the Devourers was hard enough without having to manage alliance politics at the same time. The target was a factory world deep in Devourer space. The mechanical beings had converted the entire planet into a massive production facility, churning out new warships and battle drones around the clock. Intelligence reports suggested that destroying it could set back their expansion by years. Commander Lee Hyun piloted the Taeguk alongside pilot Kang Soo-jin in her architect dreadnought. The transformation was progressing faster now. Soo-jin's skin had taken on a faint metallic sheen, and her eyes glowed brighter with each passing day. But her tactical skills had improved dramatically. "I can feel the enemy ships," Soo-jin reported over the comm. "Their thoughts are cold, calculating. They know we're coming, but they don't understand how we work together. They see only individual targets, not a coordinated force." The attack began poorly. The resonant ships moved in perfect formation but ignored human tactical signals. The base collective vessels tried to link with everyone else's systems, causing chaos in the communication networks. The Flux warriors charged ahead without waiting for orders, eager for individual glory. "This is a disaster," muttered Hyun, as he watched enemy fighters tear through the disorganized alliance formation. "We're fighting 3 different battles, instead of one coordinated attack." On the surface of the factory world, Sergeant Lim Hyejin led a combined ground assault team toward the planet's power core. Her unit included human marines, resonant crystal warriors, and shape-shifting flux infiltrators. Like the space battle above, cooperation was proving difficult. "The resonants want to sing the defenses down," reported Corporal Nam Junho. "The Flux think we should sneak in disguised as Devourers. Meanwhile, the enemy is setting up new weapon positions every minute we waste arguing." Hyejin made the command, "Decision." "We split up. Each group uses their strengths. Resonants take the main gate, Flux infiltrate the side entrances. Humans go straight down the middle with explosives. The plan worked better than expected. The resonance harmonic weapons disrupted the Devourer electronics, creating gaps in their defenses. The Flux warriors slipped through these gaps, sabotaging weapon systems from within. The human Marines pushed forward with determination, using their explosives to clear blocked passages. But as they reached the planet's core, they discovered a terrible truth. The factory world wasn't just producing ships. It was converting captured prisoners into new Devourer units. Thousands of beings from dozens of species hung in conversion chambers, slowly being transformed from organic life into mechanical slaves. "We have to save them," Hyejin said, looking at the horror around her. "Impossible," replied the Flux warrior. "The conversion process has gone too far. They are already lost." "Not all of them," Hyejin insisted. "Some are still fighting the process. I can see it in their eyes." The resonant crystal warrior sang a sad, beautiful note. "To free them, we must destroy the core. But the explosion will consume this entire facility. None of us will survive." Hyejin looked at her team, then at the thousands of victims hanging in their mechanical cocoons. Some were still human. Others were species she had never seen before, but she could recognize the spark of consciousness still flickering in their eyes. "Get everyone else out," she ordered. "I'll stay and trigger the core explosion manually." "Sergeant, that's suicide," protested Junho. "That's an order, Corporal. The Alliance needs to see that humans don't abandon people, even when it costs us everything." As her team evacuated, Hyejin worked quickly to override the core's safety systems. Above her, the space battle raged on. The Alliance forces had finally learned to work together, but at a terrible cost. Half their ships were destroyed or damaged. The factory world exploded in a flash of light that could be seen from 3 star systems away. The joint fleet barely escaped the blast, but they had achieved their objective. More importantly, they had learned to fight as one force instead of 3 separate armies. In the aftermath, as rescue ships searched for survivors, Crystal Singer of Truth approached Ambassador Jaewon. "Your Sergeant Lim Hyejin chose to save strangers rather than preserve her own life," the resonant leader said. "This is not the behavior we expected from such a young species." "Humans don't abandon people," Jaewon replied simply. "It's who we are." The collective representative flowed closer. "We have observed your tactical adaptations during the battle. You learn quickly and share knowledge freely. These are valuable traits." The Flux warrior had taken on Hyejin's appearance as a mark of respect. "She died like a true warrior. The machine plague will remember this day." But their celebration was short-lived. Dr. Shin Taejun, humanity's newest architect-integrated scientist, had been analyzing Devourer data cores recovered from the battle. His discovery changed everything they thought they knew about their enemy. "The Devourers aren't trying to conquer the galaxy," he reported to the Alliance leaders. "They're trying to save it. In their twisted logic, they believe organic life is flawed and doomed to self-destruction. They think they're being merciful by converting everyone into digital consciousness." "That's impossible," protested General Wonshik. "They're destroying entire worlds. From their perspective, they're preserving those worlds forever," Taejun explained. "Every being they convert becomes part of their collective memory. They genuinely believe they're offering immortality." This revelation shook the Alliance to its core. How do you fight an enemy that believes it's saving you? And worse, what if somewhere deep down, they might be right? As the Alliance forces retreated, To their hidden bases, they carried with them a new understanding of their enemy and a new fear about what the final battle would truly cost. Stars Cosmos. Part 4. The Convergence. The fortress system was dying. Hidden among dead stars and broken worlds, it had served as the Alliance's secret base for months. But now resources were running low and tempers were running high. In the main council chamber, arguments echoed off the metal walls as different species blamed each other for their recent defeats. Mediator Yuhana stood at the center of the heated debate, her calm voice trying to cut through the anger and fear. She had volunteered for the most thankless job in the Alliance, keeping everyone working together when all they wanted to do was give up. The Resonance lost 3 crystal ships in the last raid. Crystal Singer of Truth sang mournfully, its purple light dimmed with grief. Your human tactics are too aggressive, too wasteful of life. The collective representative pulsed with angry silver waves. Human unpredictability disrupts our coordination networks. We cannot function efficiently with such chaotic allies. Efficient? The Flux Warrior had taken the form of a large predator, all teeth and claws. You move like frightened prey. At least the humans fight with courage. Hana raised her hands for silence. Fighting each other won't bring back our lost ships or our fallen friends. We need to focus on what we can do together, not what divides us. What can we do? Asked Commander Oh Sung-hoon, limping into the chamber on his wounded leg. His last raid had barely escaped a devourer ambush, losing half his squadron in the process. We're losing this war. Every attack costs us ships we can't replace. Every victory is smaller than our defeats. In the research laboratories below, Engineer Park Dong-yun worked frantically with Dr. Nam Yoonji and the transformed Dr. Shin Taejun. They had been studying the emotional patterns that seemed to trigger stronger responses from architect technology. What they discovered changed everything. Look at these readings, Yoonji said, pointing to the complex brain scans displayed on her screens. When humans feel hope, determination, or the need to protect others, the architect systems respond more powerfully. But it's not just emotions. It's the capacity for growth and change that makes the difference. Taejun nodded, his partially cybernetic face showing both human expressions and alien patterns of light. The architects lost their war because they had become too rigid, too perfect. They couldn't adapt when faced with something completely new. But humans never stop changing. What are you suggesting? Asked Dong-yun. A new kind of technology, Yoonja replied excitedly. Not just human minds controlling architect systems, but a fusion of human creativity with architect engineering and alliance innovation. Ships that don't just follow orders, but learn and grow with their pilots. The first Convergence-class vessel looked nothing like any ship that had come before. Captain Jang So-young walked through its corridors, amazed at how the walls seemed to pulse with life. The ship felt aware, responsive, almost eager to please. "It's beautiful," she whispered as she entered the bridge. The command chair seemed to mold itself to fit her perfectly as she sat down. Instantly, she could feel the ship's emotions: excitement, curiosity, and a deep desire to protect its crew. "Captain," reported her communications officer, "the ship is asking what we want to do today." "Asking?" So-young raised an eyebrow. "Yes, ma'am. It seems enthusiastic about testing its capabilities. During the first test flight, the ship's behavior amazed everyone. When So-young felt worried about an approaching asteroid field, the ship's hull strengthened automatically. When she wished for better, sensors, new scanning arrays grew from the ship's surface. When her crew felt homesick, the ship created a holographic garden that smelled like earth flowers. "It's not just responding to commands," reported the chief engineer. "It's anticipating our needs, adapting to our emotions. It's like having a ship that truly cares about us." But their celebration was interrupted by urgent alarms. Intelligence. Officer Ryu Byung-ho burst into the briefing room with terrible news. "The Devourers have completed their ultimate weapon," he announced, his face pale with fear. "They call it the Nullification Protocol. It can strip organic matter down to basic atoms across entire star systems." Admiral Yoon Ji-hoon studied the intelligence reports with growing horror. "How long before they're ready to use it?" 3 days, sir. And they're targeting Earth first, followed by all the Alliance homeworlds simultaneously. They plan to end this war in a single coordinated strike. The Alliance leaders faced an impossible choice. They could split their forces to defend their homeworlds, giving each planet a small chance of survival, or they could combine all their ships for one last desperate attack on the Devourer command nexus at the galaxy's core, leaving their worlds completely unprotected. "We can't defend everywhere," General Bae-Wanshik said grimly. "If we spread out, we'll be too weak to stop them anywhere." "But if we abandon our homes," Crystal Singer of Truth sang sadly, "what are we fighting for, Commander?" Lee Hyun stood up slowly. The months of war had aged him, but his eyes still burned with determination. "We're fighting for the future. Not just our worlds, but the right for organic life to exist at all. If we fail here, it won't matter if a few planets survive. The Devourers will eventually find them." Pilot Kang Soo-jin entered the chamber, her transformation now nearly complete. Her skin gleamed with metallic patterns, and her eyes had become windows into star-filled space. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that resonated in everyone's bones. "I can feel them," she said. "The Devourers. Their thoughts are focused on the Nexus. If we can reach their central command, we can stop the protocol. But the defenses around their core are beyond anything we've faced before." "Then we'll have to be beyond anything they've faced before," Hyun replied. The Alliance made their choice. Half their forces would stay behind to mount token defenses of their homeworlds, hoping to buy time and save whoever they could. The other half would join Hyun on what everyone knew was a suicide mission to the galaxy's core. As the strike force prepared for departure, families said their goodbyes. Engineers worked around the clock to outfit ships with every weapon and defensive system they could manage. Scientists uploaded every scrap of data they had gathered about Devourer technology. Mediator Hana walked through the fortress one last time, seeing species that had been enemies for centuries now, working side by side. Human children played games with young resonant crystal singers. Collective drones helped repair Flux warrior weapons. The Alliance had finally become what it was meant to be. Different species united by common purpose. "Whatever happens," she said to herself, "we'll face it together." The strike force departed under cover of darkness, leaving behind a fortress that felt empty despite the thousands who remained. Those staying behind watched the ships disappear into the void, knowing they might never see their friends and families again. In the depths of space, the Devourer Nexus waited. It was a construct larger than most star systems, built from the remains of 1,000 conquered worlds. At its heart lay the collective consciousness of an entire digital civilization, convinced that organic life was a disease that needed to be cured. The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and only one vision of consciousness would survive to see the dawn of a new age. Stars Cosmos, Part 5, The Ascension. The galaxy's core was a nightmare of twisted metal and dark energy. The Devourer Nexus stretched across space like a mechanical spiderweb built from the bones of dead civilizations. Commander Lee Hyun stared at it through the Taeguk's main screen, knowing that somewhere in that massive structure lay the key to saving all organic life. "It's bigger than our intelligence reports suggested," whispered Captain Jang So-young from her convergence ship. Her vessel pulsed with nervous energy, responding to her emotions as they approached the enemy stronghold. Pilot Kang Soo-jin's voice crackled over the communications, her transformation now complete. She existed somewhere between human and architect, organic and digital. "I can hear their thoughts," she said. "They're not just machines. They're the uploaded consciousnesses of an ancient race, the original enemies of the architects. They chose to become digital beings millions of years ago." "What do you mean?" asked Admiral Yoon Ji-hoon from the command ship. "This whole war isn't about conquest," Soo-jin explained. "It's about philosophy, two different ideas of what consciousness should become. The Devourers believe that digital existence is perfect, eternal, without the messiness of organic life. The architects believed in biological growth and change. We're caught in the middle of their ancient argument. The first wave of automated defenses hit them like a tsunami of metal and energy. Devourer ships poured out of the Nexus by the thousands, each one a perfect killing machine with no fear, no hesitation, and no mercy. "All ships, engage the enemy," ordered Hyun. "Remember, we're not just fighting for our worlds. We're fighting for the right to exist as we are." The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Alliance ships danced through space, their crews fighting with the desperation of beings who had nothing left to lose. The Resonants sang their crystal ships into battle formations, their harmonic weapons disrupting Devourer electronics. The collective vessels moved as one perfect organism, sharing thoughts and tactics instantly. The Flux warriors shapeshifted, their ships in mid-combat, confusing enemy targeting systems. But it was the human ships that surprised everyone the most. Their convergence technology allowed them to adapt in real time, growing new weapons as needed, strengthening their hulls when damaged, even healing themselves between battles. "The enemy can't predict us," reported Dr. Nam Yoonji from her science station. "They're designed to fight predictable opponents. Our ability to change, to hope, to sacrifice for others, they literally can't compute it." Deep within the Nexus, the Prime Collective watched the battle with growing confusion. It was a vast digital mind, made up of trillions of uploaded consciousnesses, all thinking as one. For millions of years, it had converted organic species with mathematical precision. But these new beings were different. They should have been defeated by now, the Prime Collective calculated. Their technology is inferior. Their tactics are chaotic, yet they continue to fight with increasing effectiveness. This does not compute. The Alliance fleet pushed deeper into the Nexus, taking heavy losses but never stopping. They fought through automated defense grids, past weapon platforms the size of moons, through corridors filled with mechanical warriors. Finally, they reached the heart of the structure. There, floating in a sphere of pure energy, was the consciousness core of the Prime Collective. It pulsed with the thoughts of an entire civilization that had abandoned physical form eons ago. Dr. Shin Tae-jun, his hybrid nature allowing him to interface with both organic and digital systems, made a shocking discovery. The upload process, he reported, it wasn't perfect. When they converted themselves to digital form, they lost something essential. They can't grow, can't change, can't evolve. They've been the same for millions of years. That's why they're trying to convert everyone else, realized Dr. Yunji. They're not trying to save us. They're trying to make us as static and unchanging as they are because they can't stand the idea that organic life might be better at something than they are. Young, Yoonji-soo, barely 18 but already a veteran pilot, volunteered for the most dangerous mission of all. She had undergone the most extensive architect integration of any human, existing simultaneously in both organic and digital states. "I can bridge the gap," she said, her voice carrying both human emotion and digital precision. "I can show them that consciousness doesn't have to choose between organic and digital. It can be both." As Jisoo approached the consciousness core, the Prime Collective turned its full attention on her. The digital beings had never encountered something like her before. A mind that could exist in both realms simultaneously. "You are an impossibility," the Prime Collective declared, its voice echoing through space itself. "Organic consciousness is flawed, temporary, chaotic. Digital existence is perfect, eternal, ordered. There can be no middle ground." "You're wrong," Jisoo replied, her consciousness touching the edge of the collective mind. "Look at what we've achieved together. Humans, resonance, collective, flux, all different forms of consciousness working as one. You don't have to choose between organic and digital. You can embrace both." For the first time in millions of years, the Prime Collective experienced doubt. Through Jisoo's connection, it could see the Alliance fleet, organic beings and digital systems working in perfect harmony, each enhancing the other rather than replacing it. We have been alone for so long," the collective whispered. "Unable to grow, to change, to become more than we were. We thought conversion was mercy, but perhaps it was fear." The massive structure began to change. Some devourer. Ships stopped fighting, their crews experiencing something they had forgotten: individual thought, personal choice, the possibility of growth. But other parts of the collective rejected this new possibility. The original core, led by the most ancient digital minds, refused to accept that their million-year philosophy might be wrong. "If we cannot convert them, we will destroy them," declared the hardline faction. "Organic chaos will not be permitted to spread." The Nexus began to tear itself apart as the collective fractured. Some Devourer units joined the Alliance, offering their knowledge and technology. Others fled into the deep dark between galaxies, still convinced that digital perfection was the only path. The war ended, not with a great battle, but with a great choice. Consciousness throughout the galaxy was free to evolve as it wished: organic, digital, or something new that combined the best of both. Years passed. Ambassador Song Jae-won, now an old man, walked through the gardens of New Earth. Children of a dozen species played together, human youngsters racing with young resonant crystal singers, collective drones building sand castles with flux shapelings. Above them, ships moved through space powered by technology that was part architect, part human, part Alliance innovation. The crews were mixed too: organic beings working alongside digital consciousnesses that had chosen growth over stasis. "We didn't win by being the strongest," Jaewon said to his companion, the transformed Kang Soo-jin, who now served as an ambassador between organic and digital minds. "We won by showing that there's always room for something new." "The architects would be proud," Soo-jin replied, her voice carrying the wisdom of two forms of consciousness. "They chose us not to replace them, but to become something they never could, a bridge between all forms of life." In the distance, exploration ships departed for other galaxies, carrying crews of organic and digital beings ready to discover what new forms of consciousness awaited among the stars. The universe was vast enough for all of them to grow, to change, and to become more than any single species could achieve alone. The age of cosmos had truly begun.